Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to run you through how I do a pre-trip inspection on my truck here. So typically general pre-trip should take you anywhere from about maybe 15 to 20 minutes on average. So first thing I like to do before I even start getting under the hood is like to look in the front, just kind of do an overall view of everything, make sure that nothing looks out of the ordinary on the truck, as far as the truck looking like it's too far to one side. In this case, it's pretty straight, so nothing doing there. No surprises from sleeping at night and whatnot. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get under the hood. Go ahead and lift that. Should automatically latch there. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look just kind of in the general area of the engine, make sure that there's not anything that looks odd as far as any potentially busted hoses or loose components, anything like that, like the air, making sure the air compressor is good, making sure that the filters are still in place, nothing looks out of the ordinary, caps are still there, hoses are still intact, nothing's been busted or detached or anything. Looking at my fluids, which is another one easy thing to check. So I'm getting to the 1 gallon mark here, so I'm gonna add another gallon of windshield wiper fluid there to top it off. Power steering, you want to make sure that the engine's cold right now, so it's where it needs to be. A top off wouldn't hurt though. Very easy to top these things off. You just take the lid off and then put it through there. Not that hard to top it off, but it's still doing pretty good, and there doesn't appear to be any leaks coming from any of the hoses anywhere. They're just dirty. I just need to wash this thing, but it doesn't look like there's any power steering leaks. So then I check the rod. The rod's good. There's no leaks there. Still turns really nice. I just kind of go around looking at all the connections, making sure everything on the suspension is still there and that it looks good, right? Making sure that all the brake lines aren't leaking, that the brake chambers are okay, right? You want to make sure all that's looking good. No leaks there. All the bolts and pins are all in place, and nothing looks abnormally bent or anything like that. So go from there. Since I'm ready on this side, I go ahead and I end up checking the brakes just to make sure that the pads are good, that the drums are good, that it doesn't appear to be any leaks anywhere of any kind. So that's good. Then I check the overall condition of the tire. Just kind of look around, make sure there isn't any kind of abnormal bulbing. Nothing that's particularly, no nails or any kind of foreign objects in there. Making sure everything looks fine. Checking all the bolts, making sure they're not loose and that they're good, or the nuts, those are all good. No leaks around the hubcap. The wheel itself is actually still pretty good, so I'm done with this side at this point. Everything looks good here. So then I go over to my other side and I do the same thing, pretty much. Same kind of concept. Look at all the hoses, all the connections, making sure that nothing looks busted, nothing looks like it's leaking. Especially from here, which is where your coolant reservoir is. You want to make sure that your coolant's not leaking from here all the way down. You check on the ground. You want to make sure, see if you notice any kind of leaks coming from the oil pan or any kind of leaks that could indicate, busted hoses or loose connections, loose bolts. You want to make sure that all your belts still look good, that the condition of the belts aren't overly frayed. Things still look pretty good. They're probably going to need to be replaced sooner than later, but they're not frayed or anything like that, and they're not really making any kind of squealing noises. So that one there, this one here, is the AC compressor. So you'll see that there. That's the pump for that one. This is your main serpentine belt. This is your belt for the alternator right here. So those look good. Nothing doing there. All the connections still look fine. Everything still looks good up here. Coolant reservoir is where it needs to be. No leaks coming from that, so that thing's good to go. The turbo is fine. All the connections in the turbo are good. The exhaust, there's no exhaust leaks or anything coming from here, so we're good to go there. Once again, you check everything like you did the other side, so all the suspension looks good. Nothing looks wrong with the suspension, it's just dirty. Shocks look good. You do the same thing, you know, you go over your brakes, making sure there's no leaks over here. Brake chambers look okay, hoses look okay. Brakes, another thing, you know, and again, brakes look fine, nothing doing there. Pads look great. Yep, that looks good. So nothing doing there. Check the tire again, making sure the tire is okay. Make sure there's no obstructions on the tires, making sure that looks good. Once again, coming out to the wheel. All these things look good here. Nothing doing there. Wheel looks fine. And then that's it. We're pretty much done with under the hood, so we can move on. Oh, one more thing, obviously. One more thing I forgot to do here real quick is I forgot to double check this. So obviously, when you do this, check your fluids, right? Well, you gotta check your oil. So yeah, I mean, geez, if you're not gonna check your oil, you're doing something wrong. So take out your dipstick, like you would a car, you know, just kind of clean off that first one. The first one's not going to be as accurate as when you put the dipstick back in and pull it back out. This is your more accurate reading. So in this case, it's just dirty as hell, but in this case, it's just dirty as hell. But it does have oil there over the full line. The full line is right over here. So we're good. Put it back in. And our oil is good to go. So now we're done with under the hood. Now we can move on. And if you want, as far as your tires are concerned, I would say check the pressure, air pressure of the tires maybe at least once a week. Get yourself a tire gauge like this one, and then you just put it in there. And then you get your reading. Over 100 pounds, which is good. The minimum. The 100 pounds is what you need in these tires. So if it's not reading 100, if it's reading way under 100, let's say it's reading about 80, then you might want to top it off with at least 20 pounds of air. So we'll go check the other one just to make sure that it matches up, that it's even. You want to make sure that when you're purchasing your tire gauge, that you purchase one that there we go, that's better. Yep, same thing, over 100. So you want to make sure that when you're buying a tire gauge, make sure you buy a tire gauge that goes over, I believe this tire gauge that I bought is a tire gauge that goes up to 125, 120. So make sure you get at least a tire gauge that's rated at 120 pounds. And you know, you just kind of do your normal checks back here, making sure all your connections are still there, making sure that nothing's been tampered with or you don't have any damages in your hoses and whatnot. Your connections are all good, making sure that you know your box here is intact. This has fallen off on me before, so definitely don't want that. Like, this has actually gotten loose and fallen off, and it's been like, and I dragged it there for a couple of miles before I noticed what was going on. So you want to make sure that this thing is nice and secure and whatnot. You want to come back here, you just want to make sure there's not anything abnormal back here. Exhaust looks fine. No abnormal cuts or cracks in the piping. Your differential looks fine back here. Making sure that looks good. Everything's in place. There doesn't look to be any leaks or anything like that. All the connections are fine. So you just then you roll on to the tires back here before you move on to the trailer stuff. So you just want to, you just do a general look at I do a general look at my tires and stuff, just making sure that it doesn't look like there's anything abnormal and whatnot. I'll also do, like I I said, once a week you want to check just the pressures of your drive tires, just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with them. No obstructions in the middle here. Sometimes that happens. Same thing here. All the nuts and bolts are good. No leaks in here. The wheel's fine. Same thing all the way out here with all these. These are fine. No leaks. No nothing like that. Same thing over here, right? Same kind of overview. Same thing. Look and make sure that everything looks clean. No foreign objects. Things seem to be pumped up. But if you want to do an accurate check, take your gauge, and these you're gonna see some of these like this. That's why you have this part right here. You just take that, put it in, push it through. Oh, well, duh. It's got the cap on it. So take the cap off. Duh, John. Come on. Not gonna be able to get a pretty accurate reading with the caps on. Now you can take your gauge and punch it in there. You're gonna use the angled one right here, and it should be pretty easy. Just go like that, and then you double check. You check your pressures here. These pressures should be at over 90, which is good. So your drive tire should be at least 90. So that's good there. So then when I get there, of course, you can always check your max loads and everything on the tire itself. It'll usually have the information on there about what your max air load is. So in these, your max load 110 psi. So typically, if you're getting around the 80s, this thing's getting kind of low, and you probably need to top it off with some air. So it probably wouldn't hurt for me to honestly top it off with at least 10 pounds of air. I don't think it would hurt. So if anything, I'll get to where I can put some air in these tires. I'll probably just make sure they're all good and top them off and whatnot. But I would say at least once a week, it's good to check the actual air pressure of the tire to make sure that you're not dangerously low. To make sure it's just not dangerously low, So good to go there. Then you check, you want to make sure that your fifth wheel's still intact, right? That's still good. The trailer's still attached. The pin hasn't been pulled. Sometimes people can be jerks and they can just do it, and sometimes they'll just do it for funsies. They don't even care. Make sure your mud flaps are all there, that your lights are still present here. Everything looks good here, right? We'll turn on the lights here in a minute to make sure the lights actually work. All the landing gear stuff is still fine. We're still good there. Your lever's not missing. Sometimes people will steal these too, so you got to make sure that's good. No new damage on the trailer has been done. No one's bumped into it. No one's bumped into it and ran off. That can happen, obviously. Making sure your skirt's all intact. No one stole your lights, so your light is still there. Then you come back. I like to come back here to the actual tires here, and I'll just come to do the same thing with the trailer tires. I'll just kind of do an overall check. I'll make sure that the threading looks good, that there's no foreign objects in between. If it's a dually like this one is, and then of course, you want to make sure you want to come under, and you want to just do a general check at your brakes, making sure that drums and shoes are clean, making sure that your chambers are clean. There's no leaks, no busted hoses around here. Generally you can see the other side as well. You can go under on the other side to see the two in the back, but you want to make sure that looks all good. That looks clean. You can also see the suspension from down here. So the suspension looks good. Nothing doing there. Nothing looks missing. Nothing looks bad. Same thing all the way here. Hoses are all properly harnessed. Everything looks good. Doesn't look like we have any tears, rips, or leaks. So we're good. All the components are here. Everything looks fine under here. Nothing's broken. Nobody's sleeping down here. No animals have burrowed down here while you've been parked. So your tandem lever and everything looks fine. None of this looks broken or missing. So you'll be able to move your tandem just fine if you need to. But then you do the same thing out here again, right? So as you can see here, this is what has a auto inflation system installed on this trailer. So you don't have to check the pressures of it, because it's all connected here, and it usually keeps these things pretty aired up. The only reason that this wouldn't work is if the actual machine that does the auto inflation is actually broken or messed up, and I'm going to show you where that's at here in a second. But same thing, you know, you just go making sure all the bolts look good, everything looks, all the nuts and bolts look good, nothing looks like it's leaking, the wheels are fine, so we're good to go there. Same thing over here, you know, we do your general checks and everything, making sure your threading looks good. You can just go there, just to make sure that everything looks kind of fine there. I would recommend doing that with steel toe boots because it hurts with the regular tennis shoes. Same thing here, you know, just making sure all that looks good, all this looks good, fine there, good there. Then back here, once again, mud flaps are in place, none of them are missing. Making sure you're going looking at your brakes, making sure there's nothing wrong with your brakes here. Our brakes look pretty good. Don't see the chambers look fine. Don't see any leaks coming from the ground on brake fluid or anything like that, so I think we're good there. So again, check the suspension over here too. Suspension looks fine, looks perfect, everything looks in place. This right here is the auto inflation system. So this right here is where all of the components for the inflation system are stored. So if anything goes wrong with that auto inflation system, it's all coming out of this box, right? So if something's wrong, you notice that your tires are really flat, they're not inflating or whatever, right? Or you don't hear the mechanism working once you turn the truck on and pump the air. You can just take this, you can just go into this box. You got to take these screws off here. You got to take these screws off here and here. Then you can get into this box. This is where the system is for the auto inflation. So if you ever have any problems with it, or you notice that there's any issues with that auto inflation system, come to the back of the trailer here. It's right in this box right here. Everything looks good here. So then we go around to the back of the trailer and doing the same thing. You just want to make sure that there isn't any new damage that you didn't notice from the other day. Making sure you got your license plate there, right? All your tape is in place still, you know, right? Like just making sure that, you know, nothing's wrong here, everything's still good. If you have locks and seals and whatnot, making sure that those aren't missing, those are in place, right? It doesn't look like anybody damaged this thing overnight, so we're good to go there. And you just kind of do the same thing over here, once again. Making sure no new damage, nothing like that. Gonna check all my tires, making sure my tires look fine. Nothing in between the tires, look good there. Right, just kind of doing a general check. You know, I don't see any, there's a big old chunk of tire missing, but it's not gonna stop the, not gonna be that big of a deal. Of course, I'll report that when I drop this trailer off, so that way they can change the tire out at the shipper yard. So once again, just kind of look around, making sure that there's no loose bolts, no leaks in the hub oil seals, wheels not cracked or bent, it's good to go. Same thing over here. Just do a general check of the tire, making sure that the threading looks good, that looks fine. It's just dirty, you know, but it looks pretty good to me. Doesn't look that bad. Threading looks fine. Auto inflation system installed. All the nuts here look fine all around. Hub oil seals not leaking. Everything looks good there. Wheels not cracked, bent. So we're good to go there. So tires are good to go here. So now, same thing here. Making sure our skirt's there. Making sure nobody took our lights. Then we come up here. Do the same thing on the drives down over here on this side, making sure the tires are good. Right, we're just double checking the threading of the tire, double checking to make sure there's no obstructions in between the tires. Right, so we're good to go there. We're just checking the threading. Threading looks fine. Threading looks good. All the nuts are there. None of them are missing. None of the screws in the hub oil seal are missing. And then we can check the tire pressure if we want. Right, let's go here. This one is, that one I didn't get an accurate reading on that one because I think I stopped it. My hand stopped it. There we go. So that's an accurate reading. So over 90, so we're good to go there. Once again, I can top these off by another 10 pounds if I want to. If you want to check the one in the back, you want to look for the valve. That's usually, it's a straight valve. It's usually in one of these openings here leading to the other tire. In this case, it's right in there. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but it's right back there. It's like straight ahead. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that in here. Hand got in the way again. Difficult to do with one hand. Like if I had two hands, it wouldn't be that bad. I'd be using my other hand. There we go. So once again, yeah, so they're all reading about the same, about 90. So I can top them off another 5 to 10 pounds if I want to. Right now they're pretty good, but you definitely don't want to let them get down to 80 or less, because then you're gonna have some issues. You're gonna feel the issues when this thing's pulling and bumping and whatnot. But you know, we do the checks. There we go. Everything looks good here. Making sure that all these nuts are really, really nice and tight. They're really good. Yep. This is no leaks coming out from right here. Check the tire pressure just a little quicker. Also reading over 90. Yep, reading over 90 on that one too. So we're pretty good, man. Alright, so just come and check everything, making sure all your caps are in place. Nothing weird. Suspension looks fine, nothing looks weird, nothing looks out of the ordinary. And so then that's it, man. You just kind of do your checks, making sure there's no any kind of surprise damage on your truck. Right, no surprise damage, no nothing like that, nothing that I didn't notice already. So then we're good to go. Then what I can do here, we can close it up. We're gonna close it up. And we got, as I say, I can't close it up until you lift the lock. Sorry, yeah, you lift the lock first, then you do this. You gotta lift the lock first, then you do that. Alright, cool. You put your lashes on. Hello. Yeah, make sure you release that lock on your hood. Then you can drop your hood. God, my bad. Sorry, guys. Alright, latch up your hood. Your hood's good to go. The next thing I like to do is I like to come in here, put the power on in the truck, and these Kenworths have a light check system. So if you click this little button here, if you have a Kenworth, they usually will have this. You can click this up. That'll put it into light test mode. So then you can come out here and check all your lights. That light's on. Come over here to the front and check all your lights here in the front, right? So we got high beams and low beams. Nice, those are all working. We got 4-way flashes in the front, and our clearance lights are working, so everything is there. We'll come into clearance lights on the top. That looks good there. Left turn signal light is on. Now we're going to make sure that it at least actually functions correctly. Yep, we're good to go there. You can go under if you want over here, under the tractor, to make sure that your lights down here are working. So we're good to go there. Come to the back. Marker light here is working. Come to the back here. You're going to check up at the top to make sure that your clearance lights are all on. Good to go. Down here, once again, 4-way flashers. So those are your brake lights. Brake lights are working on both sides. Here come the 4-ways. Here come the 4-ways. There we go. Yep, 4-way flashers are working, so we're good there. You want to come down here and check to make sure that this light's working. Here's your license plate light. That's working. And come over here. Same thing, marker light there, right? Boom. Come over here. That's working just fine. Same thing up here at the top. I want to make sure that this is working correct. So we'll check that clearance light up top. Let's see if I can get there. It is. Yeah, you can see it right above the 5 there. And we'll come over here and make sure this is the last light that you check, right? And you're good to go. That means all your lights are working. Now, if you don't, obviously, we don't have a testing system equipped on your tractor, then just turn on your lights and put your 4-ways on and go and do your light check that way. It's another way to do it. It's just, this is a nice convenient way. And of course, you'll have to manually put on your brights and all that fun stuff to make sure that all those lights are working, because if any one of those lights aren't working, you get pulled over by DOT, you're gonna get a ticket for it. They may be nice and just give you a warning, but some of them might just be like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a ticket today because I feel like it. It is what it is, right? So the best thing to do to keep you away from that is just to make sure all your lights are working. I mean, that's the best way I can put it, right? Make sure all your lights are working. Okay, so now I've verified all my lights are working. So I'm pretty much done with my outside pre-trip inspection. So now I come back into my tractor. I can turn this off, turn on my tractor. Okay, we're good to go there, right? So looking, just check all my gauges, you know, making sure all the gauges are functioning properly, which it looks like they are. Right, nothing looks out of the ordinary there. It lost a little bit of air, not a lot while I had it off. I mean, it's been off for about 2 hours, so yeah. So it'll pump in the air, and it sounds like it's already engaged the compressor, which it looks like it is because the dial's going up. So as soon as that reaches about 120, then the secondary will start to pump. There it goes already. It's already pumping at 100. So there we go there. You know, you apply your brakes, making sure you see. Yep, we got brake application. We're good to go. Pretty solid there. And, you know, you can check your things like your horn if you want. You know, check your horns. Make sure all that works. So yeah, we got air horn works, city horn works. You know, you can go ahead and pull your curtains at, you know, around this time if you want. If you haven't already pulled your curtains, you can pull your curtains and stuff and whatnot. I haven't done that just yet, but you know. And you can make sure your things like your wipers work, your fluid comes out. You know, so that's all working the way that it should. Yeah, that's all working the way that it should. No problems there. You know, just and then, you know, you want to make sure that your you know, then you want to test out your trailer brakes. Make sure you can see where you're going. You only want to move. I like to move just a tiny bit, right? So first of all, I'm gonna check to make sure that my tractor's still attached to the trailer, right? I mean, I verified that with the tandem. Well, with the tandem, excuse me, with the fifth wheel pin, that it's still in place. So I'm just gonna kind of tug it a bit. All right, yeah, I'm still attached to the trailer. The trailer didn't move, so we're good because I got the trailer brakes. Now I'm gonna release the trailer brakes for just a minute, and all I'm gonna do is just move up just a tiny bit, and I'm gonna apply the brakes just to make sure that everything stops the way that it should. So just a little bit. Little forward, about that much, and brake it. And our brakes work, and I didn't feel my brakes move side to side, so that means my brakes are even, and then my brake application is working across the board. So now I can go ahead, park it back up, and then we're done, man. Like, I mean, I'm good to go. At this point now, I'm good to go. I got everything that I need. Everything that I need to be working is working. Don't seem to have any issues with anything. So yeah, that's it. Good to go, man. And you know, yeah, making sure you do a proper pre-trip check in the morning or whenever you start your clock is very essential, because 9 times out of 10 it can keep you from having to stop and fix a problem that you could have caught before you even rolled. Or when you do your post-trip, you know, most common things to find in post-trip is tire problems. Issues, you know, nails or screws and tires and stuff you can typically find during your post, so that way you can take care of it then. Don't have to worry on your pre. But hey, you know, it's common. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do a post trip, or you're going to forget to do your post trip. But the most important one and the required one is a pre-trip. A pre-trip is required by DOT every single time you start your clock. So whenever time you start your clock for the day, you have to have registered a pre-trip on your logbook. Whether it's an electronic logbook or a written one, however you're doing your logs, you have to log a pre-trip inspection at the beginning of the day. If you don't log a pre-trip inspection at the beginning of the day, and you get pulled over and they pull your logs, they're going to see that you didn't do an inspection. And what that's going to prompt them to do is check every single thing on your truck and trailer, and any small thing that the DOT finds wrong, they're going to mark it and they're going to give you a citation for it. And if you didn't do your pre-trip and they find a bunch of things that were wrong, then what's going to happen is you're going to get a long citation with a bunch of different things on it, and you're going to have to pay a pretty good chunk of change to get that stuff cleared out. So save yourself the trouble of that. Save yourself the trouble of having to stop and get repairs done by just doing your pre-trips in the morning. So hopefully that helped y'all out a bit. That's how typically I like to do my pre-trips. If you have any pointers, maybe some things that I missed or some maybe better ways that I could improve on doing a pre-trip for the experienced drivers out there, let me know. I'm more than open to suggestions on how to get better at pre-tripping. But this is how I do my pre-trip, and I do it very thoroughly. I do it very carefully. And if I catch anything, I let somebody know about it, or I fix it and take care of it myself if I can. But yeah, guys, until then, drive safe out there. I'll see y'all down the road. Laters.